I do yell at my radio in the car. I had to turn it off because my throat started hurting. Because I don't speak French, I do listen to French radio now and I don't understand what they're saying. It's quite merciful and the music is fantastic, so I recommend it. I'm going to talk today about censorship because I believe this to be the most important thing, and Harrison did an amazing job of talking about the mechanisms they're using to make censorship a part of our world and entrench it so that the messaging can come down from a totalitarian perspective from the government. Because without censorship, they can't do it. They can't do anything. They couldn't have had vaccine mandates without censorship. So I believe censorship, and I have to apologize, so I have to turn to look at my notes from time to time. Censorship is a super weapon against people, against humans, against democracies, against the citizens who vote governments into power. It is the one thing they have against us, and without it, they have nothing. They have only our democracy. They have all of our voices, except with censorship. And I'm going to do this to my friend Sam in the back when I want to get him to switch to the next slide. That's your cue, Sam. So I looked up a couple of definitions of censorship. This is from Britannica. None of them are pretty. They use very harsh language. Censorship is the changing or the suppression or the prohibition of speech or writing that is deemed subversive of the common good. Now beware the phrase of the common good, because who is the arbiter of what is good for all of us? It occurs in all manifestations of authority to some degree, but in modern times it has been of special importance in its relation to government and the rule of law. Now there's another definition that I looked up. There's your cue. Wikipedia says censorship is the suppression of speech. Now these words suppression, this is not nice words. These are negative, low energy words. Speech, public communication, or other information, it may be done on the basis that such material is considered objectionable, harmful, sensitive, or inconvenient. Censorship can be conducted by governments, private institutions, and other controlling bodies. Controlling bodies, this is awful language. It doesn't make me happy to hear the words controlling bodies or suppression or prohibition, but that's what censorship is. It's a bad word. It's a bad thing. My finger's not working. There we go. So I'm going to talk about a few kinds of censorship. There are many kinds of censorship, and I believe David Menzies told me earlier today that self-censorship is among the worst, and that occurs once there's so much censorship that we simply stop speaking. But among the many kinds, educational, religious, I think media censorship, institutional censorship, and government censorship is what we've been experiencing over the last few years. And all of it really could be government censorship, but it does play out in a few different ways. Media censorship, one of many examples here. This is the CBC from November 4th, 2021, when Trudeau and Tam got together, the tag team, to say that all vaccines are safe and effective. The impacts of catching COVID are far greater and far deadlier. This is an impossible statement in November of 2021 without the censorship of the truth about the vaccines, which by this point was being spoken by the Canadian COVID Care Alliance and a number of other, the Frontline COVID Care Group in the United States. Scientists were speaking up about this, but they were being censored. And that allowed Trudeau and Tam to make this false statement. Flash forward a year, they were talking about the AstraZeneca vaccine, by the way, the one that killed a bunch of Canadians after it had already killed a bunch of Europeans. The British Medical Journal announces that after Canada said, don't worry about all that money we spent on the AstraZeneca vaccine, because we're going to give it to some countries in Africa, because we give them our expired pharmaceuticals all the time. So nobody would take the damn thing. So the British Medical Journal publishes that Canada is in the process of destroying now 13.6 million expired doses of this AstraZeneca vaccine that Trudeau had told us was safe and effective. Wouldn't have been able to say it if they hadn't censored the truth, because it was unable to find foreign countries willing to take it. Sorry, we don't want your poison. First time ever. So without the censorship, we never would have had that promise. In June 2021, and I highlight the date here because this was, put yourself back into the ramp up to the vaccine mandates. So they need their propagandists, the CBC, to start telling us, don't worry about the vaccines, they're all great. Little did we know, because 2 months later, they're about to say if you're going to university, you have to take it. If you're going to be a federal worker, you have to take it, or you're going to be sent home. So Brian Goldman, a broadcaster, who by the way is a medical doctor, an emergency room doctor, decided to propagandize to all of the CBC listeners, to all of Canada, a lie. He brought on Dr. Tara Moriarty, who was introduced as an independent infectious disease expert, to say, don't worry, Canada, anything that states that the vaccines cause or may cause something is a red flag. We don't have any evidence that the vaccines cause anything but immunity against COVID-19. They had no evidence that it caused immunity against COVID-19, but the two of them lied to Canada by suppressing the facts.